Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am Prophetess LaTorcha, and this is Bridging the Gap one-on-one with Prophetess LaTorcha. And I have with me today Dr. Thomas, and I am just super excited about what we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about understanding your assignment. And you know, with many people, you can't understand your assignment until you understand your purpose. And I know recently she just had a class, and I hate that I could not jump onto it, but about, understanding, you talked about purpose and understanding your purpose. And so before we jump into bridging the gap and the questions and the answers, I am going to actually just open the floor for you, Dr. Thomas, whatever you want to share with us, the shout outs to your family, whatever you want to do. I'm opening the floor for you right now.
Thank you, Prophetess LaTorcha. Thank you for allowing me to be on to talk about something that's so near and dear to me. I'm very passionate about helping people to figure out why they are here. Like, why were they literally placed on this earth? It's very near and dear to me. And so I take it personal. And I've committed a lot of my life to helping people get to that point of figuring out why God placed them on this earth. And so I thank you for allowing me to be here and to be able to share with other people.
Yes, well, you are more than welcome. I'm glad that you said yes, because I know you have so many nuggets that you are going to share with the audience today. So let's talk about what exactly is purpose, because a lot of people, I think, they don't know how to step into that purpose because they don't know what that purpose is.
So when I think about purpose, like the first thing is that it's not like you find your purpose. Like you don't find it. Typically, when you think about purpose, it almost kind of finds you. And there's
Mhm.
just like so many things to kind of think about. And I hope people are writing these things down because I'm going to try to give some really good pointers to really like questions to help you figure out what it means to find your purpose. And so
Mhm.
one of the things that I think you need to understand when it comes to purpose is that it's not like it's not like a profession. Like it's not like what do I want to be when I grow up? That's not
Mhm.
what you want to think about when you kind of think about your purpose. It's one of those things where you want to kind of ask yourself a couple questions like it's not this title, like it's not this a doctor or a lawyer. It kind of goes beyond that. So when I think about purpose, I think about direction with meaning. Like there's a
Mhm.
meaning behind it. I think about, like I said, why were you placed on this earth? And many people don't know. They're still trying to figure out why they are here on this earth. And I think about like what footprints do you want to leave? What mark is it that you want to leave on the earth? And it's the reason why you keep choosing these certain paths like over and over again, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's unseen, like when you
Mhm.
think about your purpose. For me, as I was navigating and trying to figure out what this word purpose meant, I thought about like four different things, like alignment, like did it align with my values? Did it align with
Mhm.
my actions? Did it align with, the impact that I wanted to make on the earth and in life? And I think about service. Many people, when they talk about purpose, it's always service, how your life helps someone beyond you, like it's beyond you and what you're able to do. And then it's intentional, like you're not just aimlessly wandering around, like there's intention, there's meaning behind it. Like it's not just by default, like, oh, I got to do this. There's some intention behind what you're doing, and then you take like ownership of it, like this is my thing. You're not waiting to choose, you automatically just start choosing the thing, if
Right.
that makes sense when it comes to your business.
And many times I realize that my pain points are sometimes what my purpose is. The thing that I have gone through, that I survived in, the
Yes.
thing that I got the blueprint of how to go from the pain to the peace is normally what my purpose is, because everything that we go through, it's not for us. It's
Mhm.
because we have to reach back to bring someone else who's not strong enough or capable enough or able enough to be able to move into that place. And so, our pain points and I keep telling people, the thing that has caused you the greatest pain, the thing that has caused you the most tears, is normally the purpose that you're going to use to pull somebody else out. Why? Because you went through it and you survived. You got
Yes.
the blueprint and the steps of how to overcome it. So, many people are looking, oh, my purpose is, as you were saying earlier, oh, but I want it to be this. But if that's not something that you have walked through and you understand and you know how to turn around and grab someone else and pull them to the side, then you're going to get to a place where you're going to get weary and well doing, because
Yes.
it's not something that I'm passionate about. It's not something that I don't want anyone else to be in this spot. So let's talk about how we can now look at the pain, and instead of bringing the negative from it, Dr. Thomas, how do we now cultivate it to become our purpose and our passion for others?
So, something that someone told me a long time ago when I was just trying to figure out what it was, why I was here, like things happened when I was growing up, and that was part of my assignment. And I could talk about the difference between assignment and purpose. That was part of my assignment in the
Hmm.
season, and that season is over. But, if when you talk about like your purpose, if it should not drain you, it should be more like energizing you. It, like you kind of said, that like you'll get weary and well doing. You'll know you're at that point when you're still doing it while you're tired, but you're fulfilled. you're not
Hmm.
you're not drained, like it's not taking and sapping everything from you. And so, what was the second part? Because I think I kind of diverted off of what you were.
And how does your pain, how do you cultivate it so that you can be able to help others because of the passion?
And so another thing too is, like you said, you got to stop thinking about yourself, because it's not about you. When
Hmm.
we talk about, and this is something that people don't get, like, you may not get the applause, like you doing things silently. You're not, it's not this big old thing where everybody's like clapping and applauding for you, because again, it's not about you. And so you move beyond, the applause. You move beyond the audience. A lot of times it's things that you're doing in silence, and quiet,
Hmm.
where no one knows or has any idea about what it is that you're doing. And so you continue to move with intention. You continue to keep in the back of your head, this is not about me. There is something, I came through this for a
Hmm.
reason. And so I'm able to pull somebody else out. And the other side to that is being healed, because you can, if
Yes.
you're not in a place of being healed, it's going to be really, you'll bleed on other people. And so it'll be
Hmm.
hard to be able to pull them out and get them to the point to where they need to be, if that makes sense.
It does. And I'm glad that you brought that point up, because a lot of people don't understand that even though you've gone through the pain and you've on the other side of it and you're passionate about helping other people, if you are not on a steady foundation with healing, you will find yourself being triggered. You will find yourself being, instead of helping someone, you in there crying with them, telling them about your story and how sad you are in your life. You have to get to a place where you heal.
Yes.
And I always say, what you conceal, you can never heal. The
Mm.
thing that you keep hidden, you would never be able to heal it, because it's still sensitive. It's still sore, because you haven't allowed the sun. The doctors always say, when you have a wound, when you get home, take the band-aid off so that the sunlight, so the air can get to it. And that's the same thing with the wounds that we have in our heart. We have to remove the bandage, so what? So the sun, the SON, can shine upon us, and also the wind, which is the Holy Spirit, the Ruach of God, that can blow upon it to help us heal. But if we never allow those wounds to be exposed, then when it's time for us to step into our purpose, we're going to hurt people more than we help them.
Mm. Yes. Yes. Very true.
Mhm.
Very true. Yeah.
And it's going to cause so many um and I think that's why so many within the body of Christ is confused on that purpose, because they're still trying to heal, but
Yes.
unfortunately sometimes you can't tell people that you're really going through.
Yeah.
You have to I'm blessed and highly favored, and I'm moving in the Lord, and I'm going through, but God got me. But yet you're still bleeding and you're still healing, and you can't take the mask off, because then they'll look at you with a little sorrowful face, like, oh, the pitiful. sister or brother that's in Christ. So why, Dr. Thomas, why do we have to snatch off? Because as a coach, I talk about removing the mask. Why is it so important for us to remove the mask so people can see, yeah, I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
I think that's because, like I said before, like so for two things, if people know you've gone through something, then they're more like something similar to what they've gone through, then they're more apt to listen to you, more apt to kind of, share things with you, right? But like you said before, if you aren't like, so people like to see you being vulnerable and transparent, but they
Mm-hmm.
also like to see that you've overcome it and you're in a healthy place to be able to help them to get through it. So if, like, let's say, for example, like for me growing up, I grew up, I didn't grow up in privilege at all. Like I grew up with both of my parents were addicted to drugs. We went without a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, I didn't want to talk about that because I had to keep this certain face. I,
Mm-hmm.
I was the first to go to college and I didn't want that to be something that I didn't want people to see that when they saw me. Not understanding that was part of my story. Like that was literally a part of what made me. But like I wore this mask. I didn't want people to know that that was a part of me because
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of embarrassed by it. But again,
Mm-hmm.
it actually shaped me. And so, um, like I said, if people know that so me being able to overcome it and forgive my parents, knowing that they were in a place of pain and dealing with trauma and
Right.
things that they never dealt with, they dealt with that. They were able to deal with that, become sober. And once I forgave them,
Mm-hmm.
was able to mature and grow up like in the natural and also spiritually, then I was able to travel, like I was booked to travel and share my story with young people to help them to understand, yes, I've gone through this, I've gone through drug addicted parents and going without, but
Right.
look where I am now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be vulnerable, you have to be transparent so that people can come to you so you, like you said, you could pull that person through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and that's what it's all about, Dr. Thomas. It's about us being able to tell our story. When they're talking about going through, I was talking about last night, the book of Psalms and how one thing David did, he exposed whatever he was going through. God, I'm sad. God, I'm mad. God, I'm afraid. God, they're chasing me. The enemies are trying to encamp all around me. He never hid how he was going through. He never hid his emotions before the Lord. He always exposed, this is what I'm going through, but I know you to be God. I
Yeah.
know you to be my waymaker. I know you to be the one who has placed me on this path. So he may have started in the pain, but he every time he ended the Psalms, he was in it in peace, with joy and rejoicing. Why? Because he didn't allow the pain to be the deciding factor on that peace and on that joy. He made a choice that I'm not going to stay in this place. God, I'm giving it over to you. Because me and myself, I can't carry it. Me and myself, I can't even, understand how to move through it. But I know that with you, all things are possible.
Yes.
I know that you are my salvation. I know that you are my light. And when we're talking about, and I think it's very important, Dr. Thomas, that we really take time to let people know, I've gone through this,
Yes.
but this is where I am now. And I'm here because of God. And even though you've healed, I've learned with God, he now in your healed place, he still takes you through more healing that you never understood that you need. Because I don't know about you, Dr. Thomas, but there were so many times that people would see me and they said, "Oh, she got it together." And
Yep.
they would shun me and they would be so mean and nasty to me, but they did not realize that I was having suicidal ideations, that I was going through a depression, that I didn't even know how to get up out of the bed. And the place that I thought they would come and rally around me was the place that they talked about me. You think that you're better than everyone else. And so I'm walking and I'm thinking, listen, I would give you all of this
Yes.
to just have a little bit of peace. I would give you all of this, but now I understand, my purpose behind my pain. that I can go up and tell someone, maybe it's okay. It's okay to have the mask on. It's
Right.
okay for a season to have it on, but you don't have to keep it on.
Absolutely.
You can go through the process. And so, Dr. Thomas, let's talk about the realization of your story.
Mm.
If we don't understand our story, we would never understand the plot of the book.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
talk about that because I think it's very important that my story may have started off in pain,
Right.
but if you allow your chapters to go through, you will find the joy, you will find the peace, but you have to allow and don't discard your story.
Right.
I know so many people who wants to change that story. They
Hmm.
want to change it and make it, all nice and pretty and but your story is what shaped you. Now you
Yes.
don't have to stay in that story. You don't have to wallow in that story. But many times, even when I've gone to Africa, I had to tell the people there, I said, listen, you know, I lived in a house with no running water.
Mm.
Well, we had an outhouse where we had a well and we had to draw the water from the well. And they was like, in America? I was like, yes, in America. But I'm not ashamed of that because look where God has brought me now. That
Right.
I'm a world traveler. I live in Romania. But if I try to take away that part of my story, then this part will have no effect of what God could do. It would not show his glory in the process of what I went through.
Absolutely. So like, I mean, so our story is always changing. There's so many different chapters. For me, like I said, growing up in poverty and growing up with parents that were dealing with their own addictions and their own trauma and their own issues. Once I was able to kind of get out of that and break the cycle myself,
Mhm.
the cycle of addiction from my kids, I thought that was it. I thought that was it. That chapter was over, but then a whole nother chapter started with me being married and having kids and going through unemployment and then going through a lot of financial issues and going through like the marriage and some of the problems that go through marriage. And I did think like, okay, God, I thought I was done with this. Why is this now coming up? Why is
Mhm.
this now happening? And part of the reason that I didn't want to like share parts of my stories because like I said, I was embarrassed.
Mhm.
I didn't want people to know because they thought I had it all together as
Mhm.
well. And then also like I said, it was fear too, like fear of
Yeah.
people judging me, fear of people, talking about me, and fear of people like seeing me being vulnerable when I was supposed to be the one that always had it together. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But like I said, the chapters were constantly my chapters, even still now. Like I know that what happened to me as a child and then even things that happened to me in college and as a young adult, as an adult now that's married with kids, part of like my story, part of my purpose and my assignment brought me here to Danville, Virginia, to have me here today on the podcast
Mhm.
with you. You
Right.
know what I mean? So like I don't shun away from it. Some of it was painful, absolutely,
Mhm.
but I've healed from so many parts of it. And there's still parts I'm still walking through and questioning and trying
Mhm.
to understand it. But that's why if I ignored it, if I didn't want to deal with it, then I would need God. But I
Right.
know that I need God to help me to get through these and to be able to pull somebody else, to help somebody to understand that your story, it does define you, but it's not the thing. It shapes you. It doesn't define you forever. That makes
Mhm. Mhm. It does. It makes sense. And I love how you said, it's always another chapter. It's always another chapter. And even in my healing process, I realized that, over the last year actually, the Lord said, okay, now it's time for you to understand the difference between love as a letter and love as a word and then love as emotions. He said,
mm,
you've always gone through love as word and you had no emotions tied to it. Love was just, you knew what it meant to be loved. You knew what it looked like to be loved. You know the definition of love, but you never allow yourself to experience it. And so you have gone through, and I will always tell people I'm in soldier mode. Like in soldier mode, there's no emotions. Like I don't have to worry about, my feelings getting hurt, me crying. But the Lord was like, but now, how can you feel what's in the room if you've never felt what's in the room? And I was like, what? And like going through that process was horrible because I've always been that soldier. And I would always tell my soldiers, stop crying, suck it up. You got to do what you have to do. But during that season of going through the emotions of love, of sadness, so it wasn't just love. I didn't feel any emotion, like and so over the last year, betrayal, heartbreak, um, love, uh, pain, like all of it, I've had to feel over the last year. And I thought initially when it started out, it was going to kill me. I'm like, God, this must be the end because this is too much.
Yeah.
But I realize now looking back, it changed my marriage. It changed the way that I can walk as a prophetess. It changed how I interacted with people. Why? Because now I understand the emotions that's in the room. Now I understand how to talk different to my husband because it was like a drill sergeant, like, I need you to do this. And never thought about it because I understood the word love. I understood the word. And I knew the definitions, but I didn't know the emotions that was tied to it. And so when we talk about that chapter, that purpose, even what I thought God was calling me to do when I first started coaching is not what He's telling me to do now. He has revamped, He's rebranded me over the last year, but I embrace it because it's still me. Like it's just
Mhm.
a different version of me that I'm going to help now versus the version of me that I thought, was ready. And so, Dr. Thomas, when we are moving in this thing called life,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to someone um, who's first of all afraid to face the pain,
Mm-hmm.
but yet they want to walk in purpose?
Mm. In order to, and I just in my profession, my career is social work. Like that's what I got my degree in. So I'm all about. I'm a feelings person. People say I'm too emotional. That's how much of a feelings person I am. But in order to, so if you want to get, like, if you really are wanting to figure out, like, you want to do more in life, like you want to get to why am I here, like you have these things that you're passionate about, you want to do it because you're going to be helping other people, pulling other people in, you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with people, you have to feel. I was talking to my husband. I know he's probably going to watch this, but I was talking to my husband and I said to him, when it comes to feelings, I don't apologize for my feelings. I'm so glad that I feel like I'm not a robot. I'm so glad my mom, even though they were on drugs and they had their things that they were dealing
Mhm.
with. My mom loved me and my sister. She showed us love, and so that's how I know how to show love. And so I've
Mhm.
always felt. I've always like. I kind of like wear my feelings on my sleeves, like the same.
Mhm.
I really do. Like I'm a very emotional and feelings person. But you have to feel the prick. If you just continue to put a band-aid on it and you just like, oh, let me just put a band-aid on it, it's not going to heal. You're going to have to take the band-aid off. You're going to have to feel this stuff in order to heal and get better.
Mhm.
It's impossible to become a better you if that's what you choose. And I think many people do. They just don't know how to. You
Right.
have to feel. You have to connect with somebody that can help you to get these feelings out and to deal with it in a healthy way, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to go through the cycle of the feelings. You have to go through the stages of healing. You
Right.
can't like overstep them. You can't jump over them. You literally have to feel. In life, we have to feel in order to heal so that you're able to get to the next step and figure out
Mhm.
what your purpose is in life.
Right.
And
And,
it's the
and
like fear is one, like that's the one of the number one things that prevents people from for I don't want to say fulfilling, but find like being walking in their purpose and knowing what their
mhm.
purpose It's fear because they don't want to feel. They don't want to deal with the trauma of what has happened. They've
Right.
put it behind them. They've tried to erase it and they don't want to deal with it. And so it's that fear that's kind of keeping them stuck in the same place.
And it's also the unknown. You
Yeah.
know, I've
Yeah.
always been this one that had the pain. I've always, even though I didn't expose it, I've always dealt with this level of pain. So this has cultivated who I am, how I think, how I move, and so now the unknown, who will I be if I didn't have the pain? Who will
Mm,
I be if I'm able to now step fully into it? And that's one thing that I would talk with my therapist about when I first started. And she was like, "Well, it's time to heal." And I'm like, "But who will I be? Like,
mm,
who am I going to be if I don't have this pain? Because this pain has made me stronger. This pain has made me hard charging. This pain has made me protective. This pain has made me, look around. I will always be there for the underdog. Like, the pain has caused this for me. So if I no longer have this pain, then who will I be?
mm.
Because as far back as I can remember, pain had been in my life. So there wasn't a season that I can think of that there was no type of pain. So, and I think, when you talk about that fear, is that unknown. I don't know how to be happy. I don't know how to really have joy. And even when I got to a certain place, I was always, as they say, waiting for the shoe to drop.
Mm.
Like, this can't. I don't even know what to do with this happy place. Like, what? I don't know how to even act as I'm in this peaceful place because I've had a life of, just getting by, just
Mm.
making it, just overcoming enough to say I overcome, and I never allowed myself to celebrate me because I was always looking for the next. What's my next promotion? What's my next move? What's my next location? What's my next, that I never took time to even celebrate my wins, and Dr. Thomas, even though I know we're talking about purpose, but all of this really ties in to you even understanding your purpose, to understand your assignment. Because if you are still walking around zombified by the pain,
Yeah.
where I know I got to get up, I got to clock in, I got to go to work for this many hours, I got to go home and got to cook, I got to, go to bed at this time, and then I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do the same routine over and over again. Dr. Thomas, why, how can we as leaders, um, as strong women, how do we come alongside those who are still, we know that they have called for an assignment, but we also can look and see that the pain in the purpose have them stuck.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that because I'm still figuring that part out. I'm being honest.
Okay.
Because I like for me, because of the way I grew up, and I still see people back home that are still living a certain way. And I'm just like, why can't you just get it together? Like, aren't you tired of living this way? Don't you want to figure out what you should be doing in life? You know, you have these gifts and talents, and you're so good at this. And I can see that you should be doing this, but you're choosing to still stay in that place. And one of the things, just back to what you said really quickly about fear and just, being so used to living a certain way. I had a friend that told me a long time ago, he said, so many people, they're not used to living, they're used to living in failure and not used to living in success because they've lived in
Mm,
failure for so long. So success, they don't even know how to embrace it and live in success.
right.
And so I'm trying to keep that in my mind. Like there's so many women that I see all the time and I'm just like trying to pull them up, like, come on, you got to do this. You should do this. Like, I'm telling them these things constantly. And so for me, I've stopped trying. I'm like, this is not your journey is not my journey. So I need to take myself out of it. Like, because
Mhm.
I'm exerting too much energy trying to like, come on, let's move. Let's get out of it. You got to get out of it.
Uh-huh.
I can't make them get out of it. Like they have to want to do it themselves. Like you literally have to do the work. And so one of the things is being patient. Like you have to
Mhm.
be patient. And that's hard. Sometimes that's hard because
Yeah.
we think about us. Like the patience
Mhm.
part is about us. but we have to be patient with them. And this is their journey. And they're the ones that have to say, you know what? I'm tired of this. I need to take these steps. I need to be committed. I need to be disciplined. I need to heal. I need to deal with the fear. I need to deal with the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
We can walk them through it and help them, but we cannot. And I'm sure you understand this. Like, you
Yeah.
can't make anybody do anything, and I can't want it more than you do,
Right.
because it's not that's my assignment. Might be helping you to come out in the way that I
Mm-hmm.
can, but my assignment is not what you're supposed to do. You
Right.
know? And sometimes for me, that's so hard because I'm so passionate about people. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
just want people just to be healed, be delivered, be set free. And sometimes I'm like, why can't you do it? I'm like, somebody was probably saying the same thing about me.
Yeah. And it's that love, like it's that knowing how you were at that place,
Mhm.
knowing how you wanted someone. I tell my daughter all the time, I wish I had a me in my life.
Mm.
Because I am always the one, you can do it, you can make it, you keep going, don't give up, push. I'm giving guidance and direction and helping them understand. But one thing I realized, the Lord told me, He said, you know what? Look, you never crossed the finish line. Beloved, you never crossed the finish line. And I had to sit back and think about it. And I always tell my clients, one of the questions I ask them is, what is the title of your story right now? Because from that title, I can tell everything. I could hear the silent cry in the title. And that's one thing that I love that the Lord allowed me, because I had such a silent cry that no one picked up. He's tuned my ears to hear the silent cry. But he told me, he said, listen, you never crossed the finish line. And why? Because you are quick to look back and run and get someone else
Oh,
and
wow.
grab them and you push them across the finish line. And when you're about to step, you look back and you see someone else and you run back and you get them and you drag them across the finish line. But yet you never cross the finish line. He said, but in this season, I need you to cross. And once you completed that part of it, turn around then and cheer them on to come to you. Instead of going them back to get them, stay there in that position that I have you and cheer them on to come across the finish line. That way they have to do their own effort to get to the finish line, and you're able to cross over, and you're not always running but never finishing. And
Wow.
I said, oh Lord. Oh, wow. But it was that I never want to, like the soldier, I never want to leave a fallen soldier. So I
Mhm.
gotta always go back. I gotta always help. I gotta listen. If I gotta drag you, if I gotta pull you, I gotta push you. I gotta get you across the finish line. But what I realized is, once they came across the finish line, they sat down.
Mm.
They never went to get,
Mm.
they didn't go
Mhm.
get drinks. They didn't go to get sustained. They didn't go to keep moving. They would just sit down, because I really wasn't thinking that I was going to cross the finish line. But since you got me here, now what?
Wow.
So, so it's important that even when we're helping and helping, even now with helping you understand your assignment and your purpose, it's not for us to grab you by the hand and make you do it.
Right.
I always tell people, I'll walk with you as long as you're walking.
Right.
But if I got to pick you up and carry you, and I'm carrying my stuff, and I'm carrying, there's no way we're never gonna make it, because we're gonna both be exhausted. I'm gonna be tired of carrying you, and you're gonna be tired of me trying to push you along.
Very true. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I that was so powerful because, sometimes I found myself in some seasons like carrying me and the stuff I had to deal with, and then trying to carry other people too. And it's just too heavy. It's
Mhm.
just too heavy. It's just too much. And that's not what I'm supposed to be doing, is carrying both of us. I'm
Right.
helping you to carry what it is that you need, and I'm carrying mine too, but you have to carry your own weight and I got to carry my own.
Mhm. Mhm.
At
And
times you may have to, for a little while help them carry theirs, like if you talk about in the military where you were having to help the soldiers and you may have to carry theirs for a little while, but if you try to carry it the whole time, you're not going to be able to finish what you need to.
right. And even, what I've learned is I no longer carry it all myself.
Right.
Now, I may be able to take the bulk of the weight of it, but I still want you to have your arms in the backpack as well.
Yeah.
Because the moment that you don't see that you are moving, if the moment that you feel like, you don't have to carry it, then you become weak in carrying with your pain. That you always want, can you come help me? No, I
Mm,
need you to carry the weight so your body can get used to the weight that you have to carry so that you can make it. But as long as you keep putting the weight down, when the weight come upon you, it's crushing you. And
right.
I think that's what a lot of people, have come to a place, they have laid the weight down for someone else to carry.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but they say, can you come pray for me? And so come lead me to the Lord because the Lord hear your prayer. But then when I'm not there, what do you do?
Yep.
And so what I always say is you start the prayer off. And when you get to a point that you don't know what else to say, then I will step in and pray with you. But
Yeah.
as long as you don't have skin in the game, you're never going to really want to do anything. And I think that's what it is. When you don't have the skin in the game, you don't, what, you're not losing anything. I'm not gaining, but I'm not losing anything.
That's right.
hmm
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
And so, Dr. Thomas, when we are moving in God. I think we talk about the purpose and we talk about the assignment,
Hmm.
and we always highlight the struggles that may come with the assignment. But I never hear people really talk about the joys of the assignment. We always try to fear people into becoming saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. And we fear people into, yes, well, you got to count the cost. You got to make sure that if this is what you want.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the joy because not all of it, and I tell people, they was like, oh, my life was so bad that I came to the Lord. No, listen, I was footloose and fancy free in sin. I was having such a good time in sin. So it wasn't that, that I was like at my breaking point that I came to the Lord, that even when he called me, I'm like, but Lord, I'm having such a good time right now.
Right.
So let's talk about the joys of understanding your purpose. Where we've talked about the pain, we talked about the process, we talked about the chapters, but let's talk about the joy and the peace you have when you finally step into that place of purpose.
That's like when I was talking about people who always been in pain and been in failure and been in constantly, like striving and trying to survive. Like you're always in survival mode. So you don't know what it means when things are just like good. You don't
hmm
understand when it's good. When it's good, sometimes you do things to take you back to a place of going back to a place of pain and struggle and all that. For me, the joy is what I feel on the inside. But the biggest thing is like for me, because of my relationship with God, is knowing that I'm doing what God has called me to do. Like it's
hmm
just something about making God proud. Like you can trust me. Like you can now trust me. There's still things that I'm still working on, but you can trust me with this because you know I'm not going to mishandle it. You
hmm
know that what I'm doing is that I'm taking you into consideration and leading me on everything I'm doing. If I can't take you into it, if I'm not ready, I'm not doing it because it's just too much responsibility. I don't want to make you upset. So for me, it's really making God proud. Like I love doing that. And then the
hmm
other thing, the other joy that comes from it is that when you see people, like for me, when I see people get it and I see people overcome stuff and they figure out why they are here, I love it. I absolutely love it. Like in maybe like 10 years ago, myself and one of my really good friends, we founded this thing called the Women Empowerment Institute in Florida. And so
hmm
part of the purpose of the organization was to help women to figure out what their purpose was. Like
hmm
why were they here? And so many women like are even to this day they're doing great things, and even like some of them have said thank you to myself and to my friend, like if it wasn't for you this wouldn't have happened. I'm like, it wasn't us, we were just like the midwives helping you to kind of to birth it out and to take care of
hmm
us. see them doing so well, to see them like in a good place, to see them healed and so happy, I'm like, thank you, Lord. Like, oh yeah, okay, so I guess I was doing the right thing after all this time. That's it's a feeling that you can't explain. Like I love to see people healed, happy, delivered, set free, living good, getting beyond where they were and in a better place.
Right.
That for me is one of the best feelings.
Yes. And even as you was talking, I thought about recently the women's conference and the struggle. And I laugh at it every year that it's over. I laugh because every year before it starts, I want to cancel it. Like I want to just say, no, I got too much going on, and my life is hectic. Like everything was crazy. But to see the women get the breakthroughs at the altar, to see
Mhm.
the women crying out to God at the altar, and even though I was discouraged, even though it was like, man, you know, I was really discouraged about some stuff, but I was standing there, and even as I was crying out to the Lord, someone in behind me cried out,
Mhm.
and the Lord said, if even if it was for that one, and the joy that hit me was, oh my God, I thank you. I thank you because even if it's just that one, that
Mhm.
breakthrough, she would never be the same as she was when she walked into the building. And I'm like, God, I just thank you. That even though I want to throw the conference away every year, I thank you because I see each year, and
Yeah.
each year it goes higher and higher, but it has nothing to do with me. It's
Right.
all for his glory. And
Yeah.
and I think when people understand that, that's what it means to step into your purpose. It's no longer about you.
Right.
I just want to see you win. I just want to see you smile. Like even if you just sit on side of the bed because you've been in depression and been under the covers for a week, just saying, hey, you know what? I sat on side the bed today. I'm
Yeah.
gonna celebrate with you like you didn't want $1 million.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Because you have moved to another place in trusting God. And so when you are looking at your purpose, and you said, Dr. Thomas, that you was going to really go into the difference between the purpose and the assignment. I think that's something, as we are getting close to closing, that I think people really understand, because the reason, how the kids say, they understood the assignment.
Yes.
Like the reason you don't understand the assignment is because you may be getting it twisted.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I have these notes that I have because I wanted to make sure I said everything. So when I talk about purpose, as I said before, purpose is why are you here? Like it answers the question of why are you here? And purpose says this is who you are, right? But the assignment, like assignments, are can be seasonal.
Hmm.
Assignments may not be a long time. Assignments could be like what it is that you're doing right now.
Hmm.
Now, assignment can help you with completing your purpose because it's a part of that chapter, but the assignments can end.
Hmm.
Assignments may not be long term, Um, assignments, it may no longer fit. Like it was for that season, for that time. You complete it, like it's just like with school. You complete the assignment, that
Hmm.
assignment's done, you're on to the next assignment. Purpose is the bigger picture. Assignments are part of your purpose. So while you're working in your purpose and doing what you have to do, there's certain assignments that you have to do
Hmm.
within it. The purpose is your why. It's like the reason behind your life and your service. You know what I mean? But that assignment is just like parts of completing and working in your purpose.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like for me, one of my assignments was, when we were doing the Women Empowerment Institute, that season, that was an assignment that we did for a certain amount of time. And once we completed that assignment, once we finished with that season, that assignment, it was over. Then I moved on to something else. Still working in my purpose, still
Hmm.
doing, but I was on to something else different, a different assignment.
Right.
Some
Right.
people, they're afraid to release it because they think they have to stay in that assignment forever. But that's not the case. Once you've completed it, it's time to release it and move on to the next thing because there's something more, something greater. Sometimes the assignment gets more difficult, sometimes the assignment gets easier. So you have to know how to release the assignment and move on to what the next step is, what the next assignment is.
Right, right. And and I also look at it like in the military. Whenever we go to a duty station, an assignment, we call it, we know if the assignment is bad, we always know, listen, I got 3 years. I got 3 years at this assignment, and then I'm moving to another location. I'm moving to another place, and but I'm still in the military. I'm still in the military. I'm still it works. I still work in finance because I was finance during the time, but my assignment changed. I
Yeah.
no longer. I did. My purpose was still the military,
Yeah.
but my assignment and the locations it changed throughout the years, and that's how I really look at it, and understanding your assignment, meaning, but if you don't know your purpose, then you're going to constantly be doing things that you're not supposed to do. You're going to be trying to fix people that you're not supposed to be fixing.
Yeah.
You're going to try to save people you're not supposed to be saving. You're going to try to show up. And Dr. Thomas, recently the Lord had to reveal to me, I need you to step out of the orphan spirit.
Mm.
He said, because, and I couldn't understand it. I would show up and I had to be the best prayer warrior. I had to be the best who could put it together. I had to be the best who could show up, and I could preach the best, and I could do this the best. And he said, but you was performing. And the reason you was performing was not for me. You was performing because you had that orphan spirit, and you was afraid that if you didn't perform and if you didn't act right, they would send you back to the orphanage.
Mm.
And so you had to put your best face forward. You had, even if it was exhausting, even if it meant you almost losing your marriage, because that's what happened, because I was trying to perform. I didn't want you to send me back to the orphanage. And the Lord had to remind me, baby, you are adopted by me.
Wow.
And once you are adopted by me, you don't have to perform for anyone else. It's all about me. I love you. And I had to move from that. And that was in the seasons of me even, and I would love to say it was 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. It was more like 2, 3 years ago that I had to go through this, or more, I would say more like a year. Because when I started with the love is when he started showing me, no, this is why you're doing this. You're doing this because you don't want to be rejected. That spirit of rejection then held hand with the spirit of the orphan spirit. Now you're trying to just belong. I just want a place to belong. No matter what I have to do, if I got to dance, if I got to act, if I got to show up, I just want to belong,
Wow.
because I'm tired of being rejected. I'm tired of being overlooked. I'm tired of being, people saying, well, you're not, you think you're better than me. You think no, I just want to belong.
Yeah.
But the Lord had to remind me, I have called you. I have chosen you. So no matter what, I have stamped the seal of approval on you. You'll never be rejected from me. I will never send you back to the orphanage. Now I need you to step fully in who I called you, because you've been watering down who you are, so that
Mm.
the people around you wouldn't feel like they feel uncomfortable. But I didn't call you to dim your light. I called you to shine. And Dr. Thomas, this has been a season. This has been, and it seemed like every time I think I got it, he sent me through a test. I'm like, woo, Lord, I guess I got to go back around that mountain again, because, but what I've learned is I never chose me.
Mm.
In the midst of it, I realized that I chose everyone else. I was choosing my husband. I was choosing the church. I was choosing my friends, but I never chose me. And now that I choose me, when I tell you the light shines so bright,
Mm.
even to the fact, Dr. Thomas, that I didn't even realize that my name, which is LaTorcha, is the light.
Wow.
I didn't even put it together. And he said, I've called you to be that light. Your name says you're the light. So step into it. But I would always dim it down, because I was afraid of
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
people would feel and how they would be uncomfortable. And then they're going to send me back to the orphanage. They're not going to, become my friend. They're not going to accept me for who I am. So now I have to give them this watered down version of who I am, so that they can accept me. But then I'm miserable, because I'm trying to contain all that God has placed inside of
Yes.
me, about to explode, And so, Dr. Thomas, why is it so important for us to step into the trueness of who we are?
Who? Um, You know, first of all, like, we have to, and I'm trying to, there's so much I want to say because it just comes out, but it's like, once we get to the place of like, okay, so you get to a place of saying, I want more. Like, I'm tired of
Mhm.
being where I am. Like, especially if you're in a place of just constantly in a cycle and things are not changing. You're like, I want to get out. I want to get out, but I'm not doing the work to get out. Like, I want to get out. I want to get out. You got to make up in your mind that this is what I want, because there's somebody else, like we talked about before, that's on the other side. There's somebody else that's waiting for you,
Mhm.
like somebody was waiting for you, like me and you. There was
Mhm.
somebody waiting. There's somebody on the other side that's waiting for you, and so you have to do the work. You have to come to a place of maturity, healing, and all that, so that you're able to help the other person.
Mhm.
And something that you had said before, and it literally popped in my head, is that when you were talking about test after test, like sometimes I know for me, like test after test after test, it has caused me to question my purpose.
Mm.
Like all these, it's like test after test. I'm like, nope, there's just no way. And sometimes the tests get more
Yeah.
difficult because I pass it. I'm like, okay, you pass it, and it's like it just becomes more difficult. But it causes
Mhm.
you to question your purpose. But the thing is that we all have to, if this is, if you're passionate about, like, you really want to fulfill, you really want to find your purpose and walk in your purpose and do what it is that you've been called to do, you have to become disciplined, you have to become committed,
Mhm.
you have to take yourself out of it and think about other people, why you are here, why God placed you here on this earth. Like, you're the hands and feet of Jesus. Like, now you're walking it out and doing things. And so it's so important to realize that it's much bigger than us. It's so much, and then you're going to get your fulfillment while you're doing it. God's going to do things for you. He's going to put you in the right place, connect you with the right people. You'll start living that abundant life because you're
Mhm.
being obedient. You're doing what you've been called to do. You're not walking in disobedience. You're not being rebellious. You're not, doing the woe is me and staying in the same cycle. You're being obedient. So he's going to call you to the right people, put you in the right
Mhm.
room. Me, I never in a million years thought that I'll be working for the Department of Defense, Department of the Navy in Danville, Virginia, coming from Atlanta, Georgia. Never, ever, never thought I'll be in rooms with the people that I'm in. I never, ever thought that. But I accepted the call. Like, I said, yes.
Yeah.
I said, I'm tired of the way things are. I no longer want to do this. I want to do that. I had to made up mind. I became disciplined, committed.
Yeah.
I was working on my relationship with God. Like, I was complacent. I was tired of being complacent. I didn't
Right.
like that. I saw my family being complacent. I didn't want to live like that. I had a
Mhm.
mind that
Mhm.
I wanted more, and I had children, and I needed them to see their mom do more and what I need them to see me in action and doing stuff.
Yeah.
I had to be the one to break the cycle.
And that's so important because when you do step into your purpose, you will be a cycle breaker. Like there's no way you can stay in that same place, but
Yeah.
then you have to look at the fear. And I think that's what's resonating the most in people when it's time for them to step outside of that comfort zone is that fear. And stepping outside of who you've always been is the fear. But once you grab fear by the neck, and say, no, I'm no longer going to allow you to dictate my life. Now, we're all going to have, we may be afraid. We're going to have a fear, a being afraid, but don't allow it to stop you.
Right.
Still do it. Do it afraid,
Yep.
because you will still, and what I've learned, Dr. Thomas, when you're doing it afraid, you're going to be more mindful of how you're moving because you don't want to fall, you don't want to trip, you're going to be mindful of how you're moving. And when you're talking about the purpose, as Dr. Thomas said, you have to have a made up mind. Like
Mhm.
unfortunately, sometimes you have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired before you say, I'm no longer going to be this person. I'm no longer going to stay in this place. I'm no longer going to dim my light because I know that there's greater.
Yes.
One of the things the Lord told me, He said, how can you pull someone out when your light can't even touch them because you dimmed it so much. And that was a reality check. Like, how many people are in the dark trying to find our way, but
Oh,
because I've dimmed my light and because I've watered down my purpose and my call, that no one will be able to get out of that place that they're in because they can't find our way. So
oh,
they're walking around and bumping around because I chose to water down for people who probably don't even care.
hmm,
They just there, something else for them to be distracted with, where they don't have to focus on their life and their purpose. You know, it's time in this season
yes.
for us to understand that your assignment is temporary, but
Mm-hmm.
your purpose is secure.
Mm,
And you have to now, we talk about keys in church. You're going to have to ask the Lord, how do I unlock with the keys of the kingdom that you've given me? How do I unlock and step fully into my purpose? Because as long as you're on the outside, peeping in the peephole, seeing what it could be, how it could be, guess what? You have access to it.
yeah.
You have access. So, Dr. Thomas, is there anything that you want to tell, anyone that's watching or will watch the replay? Or is it, even if there's anything that the Lord is laying on your heart, it doesn't have to be, directed to the person. Anything that the Lord is placed on your heart right now to release to the ones who are watching or those who will watch the replay.
Yeah, like it's so I'm glad you asked that question because like the thing that's really so heavy on my heart is that it doesn't matter how old you are, how
Mm,
young you are, what has happened in your life, which like what your past has looked like, things that have happened. That doesn't matter. Like that's a part of getting beyond the fear and getting beyond yourself. Get to the point where if you're still questioning what it is that you should be doing while you're here in life, get to the point where if you have to connect with somebody that can help you pull it out,
mm,
stop talking and start. It's time to stop talking and start doing. Like we
mm,
talk so much, stop talking and take that first step for some people into reaching out to someone to help you to get to figuring out what it is that you should be doing on earth, why God placed you here. Like and it's time to get out of the cycle. Many people have been in the cycle for a long time. Like you've been in it for too long. Time it is now time to get out. I didn't think that like somebody told me last year, they was like, you should be doing more. You should be doing more. And it wasn't even a person, it was just a coworker. And I was like, whatever, whatever. And then I'm glad they said it because the Lord like pressed it on me like heavy, heavy, heavy. And literally he gave me the topic to talk about purpose. And so I was, like that reignited and opened something up in me because like you said, my light had been dim for so long while I was here, and there's somebody that needs to hear.
yeah.
They need to see my light. They need me. And maybe I'm the one to grab their hand because they've been in that hamster wheel for so long, and it's now time to get out of it. You don't want to go. They've said, I've heard the greatest ideas are in the cemetery. If there's
Mm-hmm.
something that is on you that you should be doing, it is now time. You
Now.
know, it's now time to move and walk into it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. Thank you for all the nuggets that you dropped. I was doing, and I was telling someone today, I said, sometimes I'm very consistent at being inconsistent. And so, and it goes back to now I acknowledged it. This is something that I'm no longer going to cover up. I've acknowledged it. And, I was doing this 21-day JBAS transformation. And towards the end, I kind of, because of the snow and my mom being here and all this other stuff, I didn't finish. And I told myself, I said, no, you're not going to do it. You're going to complete it.
Yeah.
So you guess what? Because you didn't finish the 21, starting on the first, you're going to start the 21 all over again. And you're going to be consistent in making sure that you do it. Why? Because as long as you allow yourself to get to a certain point and give up, you never push past that point. You never push past the thing that you're trying to do. And and I'm so busy of being consistent for everyone else. I would put my stuff to the side, which makes my stuff inconsistent so that I can be consistent for someone else. But then, what has the Lord told me to do? And when I was talking about the Jabez, because we always talk about the Jabez prayer, but we never look at how Jabez had to be transformed to be able to walk into that enlargement, to the expansion of his territory, what the Lord revealed to me, it has to be a transformed mind.
Yes.
Like he had to say, God, not only do I need you to enlarge my territory, but I need you to enlarge the way I think about myself, enlarge the way I see my assignment, enlarge the way you have called me. I need you to show me how to enlarge even my name. How do I stop? How do I move from what everybody has saw me as pain? My name mean pain. Everyone called me pain. My mom, it was connected to me. Now I need a new story. I
Yes.
no longer want my story to be so drenched in pain that I can't accept what the expansion that you have for me. And so, starting on the first, I will start this Jabez transformation all over again, because there's somebody that need to know that you can't get stuff if you don't change your mind.
Mm.
If you get the stuff and your mind is still in poverty, your mind is still in lack, you are going to just end up losing and swindling all the stuff that the Lord has given you. And so, when we're talking about purpose, take one step.
Yes.
The journey of 1,000 miles start with what? One step.
Yep.
And if you put one step in front of the next step, in front of the next step, before you know it, you have achieved everything that you needed. Dr. Thomas, I used to tell people, instead of trying to open the closet and deal with the whole skeleton, crack the door open
Yes.
and pull off a pinky and deal with that pinky first. And before you know it, you have dealt with the whole skeleton, because it didn't become overwhelming. It didn't become something that you throw away. So you guys hold me accountable to this Jabez transformation that I'm starting again on the first. Hold me accountable. If you don't see me come on, then y'all need you to send me a text message. Be like, listen, I need you to put your Maybelline on and get on in and do the Jabez transformation. But thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. Thank you for being on. Thank you for saying yes. I'm just, and I will hope that we can do this again, because, there's so much about purpose that a lot of people really have to understand as they're moving in God. So you all, as I say every Thursday, if you need me, I'm just a call or a text away. That we are growing together. Iron sharpens iron. So we need each other to do it, because this is how we bridge the gap together. So again, Dr. Thomas, thank you so much. And for everyone, have a good night, and I will see you here next week. Bye-bye.